Hey guys, Farrell here. This is going to be a quick video talking about the first impressions of the new to me Leica Q2. Now the reason I'm doing a talk about this is because I originally owned and currently still own the original Leica Q, the 116, and it's rapidly become one of my favourite cameras of all time. Now, for those that have seen my previous videos, this is my Leica Q. Now, at the moment, it does have the original Leica grip on it, along with a matched technical thumb. But other than that, this thing is absolutely awesome, and I still think it's a very valid and very potent camera today. There are some flaws with it, but today is not about the original Leica Q116. Today is about the Leica Q2. Now, I have wanted a Leica Q2 for a very long time. I went to the Leica store in Warsaw, Poland, and I held one, and that was one of the first Leicas I ever held, and that completely changed my mind about the brand. Now I know this video is going to get a lot of hate because it's about Leica and people really like to scream their hate about something that's expensive, seemingly for no reason. Hell, I didn't used to understand the brand until I held one, and it certainly does change something for you when you realise the quality that goes into these products. But it is the same as everything. You can always get a better camera for less, but is it going to be a tool that feels more personal to you and something you enjoy using quite as much? That is what's important to me. So I had decided on buying the Leica Q2 for a number of reasons, weather sealing being an upgrade, the improved battery being an upgrade, and the video functions being a bigger upgrade. Now make no misinterpretation, and no one is going to be buying the Leica Q2 for video specs, but there are times where it can take some tasty B-roll, and that is the reason that I would want to have video specs in my camera. For my main video content, obviously I'm still using my Fujifilm X-T4. This is the Greg Williams-Daniel Craig collaboration. It is limited to only 750 models, and it's absolutely beautiful. Now, this video is going to have some spliced in footage of the unboxing of it, but I make it real simple to understand. All of the details on the camera, instead of being white, are engraved and painted in with a gold fill. I do have the AGS plate on at the bottom, which is real brass, which I really like, but I would actually much prefer the black brass version, which I'm trying to get hold of, but they have been long out of stock. So what are my first impressions? Well, first off, there is no getting around it. Honestly, it's a much heavier camera. There is absolutely no avoiding that point. I want to say it's only maybe 100 or 150 grams, but you immediately feel it in the build. Obviously, with this additional brass plate on the bottom, that does add a little bit more weight. Now, outside of that, you obviously don't have your white and red dot. I find the look of this particular special edition a lot more muted than I expected. That's not a bad thing. I really like the Reporter edition, but I don't like the Kevlar phrase on it. And I really like the monochrome version, but I really like the black and whites from the Leica cameras anyway, so I would rather have the ability to shoot colour if I can. So this is kind of like a perfect go-between for me. I still love how the original Leica Q looks, and I still love the original colour scheme of the Leica Q2. I know it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but if I was going to steal a camera, I would be looking out for the red dot. And here, the gold details, very nice. Talking about build quality, everything feels just as good, but some things feel a little bit better. Now, what do I mean by that? The on-off switch is purely a on-off switch. It no longer has the single and continuous shooting modes as well as off, where you can often slide between them by accident. This is on and off, and that is it, and you have access to your drive in the menus. Now, speaking of the menus, you may have noticed there are less buttons on the back of this camera, and to be honest, they work absolutely fine. We've got 3 main buttons on the left, and the D-pad is just the same as before, as well as the telezoom jump button as well. Carrying on with build quality then, the diopter adjuster is much nicer on this. Rather than being a wheel on the side of the viewfinder, it is a push in and click and set it and never knock it out of place affair. It works really nice nicely, and that kind of build theme has gone across the camera. So we have an improved on-off mechanism, we have an improved diopter. Now what I use as exposure compensation dial has a additional function button in the middle of it, which we have also lost the film dial. That's not a bad thing for me. Furthermore, on the build quality side of things, there are no ports on the side of this camera at all. None on this side and none on this side. I never used the micro HDMI and micro USB on the side of the Leica Q. They were pointless. So to remove them is actually a good thing. Would I have liked USB-C charging on this model in particular? Yeah, probably. But instead, I've just got an absolute sturdy brick. Now, it does mean that I have to take the battery out for charging, which brings us to 2 points here. One, this is a weather sealed camera and the battery itself contains some of that sealing. So they did take the battery and change it. So that's where some of our weight has come from. On the original Leica Q, you had these really small little rectangle batteries, which were not the best, let's say. However, the door flap also felt a little bit loose. It wasn't bad, but the batteries on the Q2 are something else entirely. Now at the bottom of this camera we have access to the memory card slot and the battery. Please bear in mind I have a brass plate protecting it, but the memory card slot is on its own and normal. It is a single card slot. But what's really fun and interesting is what they've done with the battery. So we have a small lever. If you pull this lever, it releases the battery, but it does not drop the battery. You then have to give it a gentle tap and it slides out. It will not slide out before then. And this battery is quite a bit bigger. And it's also got a rubber ring around it to help with that weather sealing. So when you put it back in, it's a really firm click. It can only go back in one way and it ain't going anywhere. So again, we have a little lever. You pull it, it releases it partially. You then have to give it a tap. So it's like, everyone says it's kind of like a firearm magazine, and to be honest, they're not wrong. This is almost like a fidget toy in itself. The rest of the build quality is very, very similar to the original Q. Mostly a metal build, with the only plastic parts that I can really find being the small lever on the bottom of the focus lever. And there is a rubber mount around the viewfinder. And then I believe the base of the battery is also plastic. The rest of the camera is metal and it feels it. This is a dense, dense bugger. This feels as dense in the hand as my original Nikon F3. So yeah, build quality, this is way up even on the Q1. Now what else is different? The viewfinder initially, it seems a lot cleaner. I believe it's an OLED type glass now, whereas the original wasn't. It's not a massive difference. The resolution is same. There is a 120 Hertz mode in this now, but it does knock the resolution down, so I prefer to just keep it at 60. But it is a cleaner viewfinder to look through, but again, the resolution's the same. It just looks a little nicer. It's a little bit sharper. So I believe that's it in terms of external features. In terms of internal features, we've got another couple of updates. So it does go from a 24 megapixel sensor to a 47 point something megapixel sensor, which is a massive, massive bump up. And honestly, I thought people were talking a load of crap about using this to crop in a lot. It's pretty good. It's pretty nice having that scope to be able to crop in that much. I do really enjoy that, I've got to be honest. The low light performance isn't as good as the original Q, and to be fair, I went into this knowing that. And what my decision path was there was I use my camera for mainly everyday carry. I use it mainly for family and adventures and pictures of my wife and stuff like that. So now, if I'm being honest with myself, 95 if not 97% of my pictures are in daylight. And realistically, for the few percent that are not at daylight, I can put up with the low light capabilities of this camera. They are still more than good enough. And to get that improvement in all of my other photography, that bump in resolution, that ability to crop in more, this sensor makes a lot more sense. Okay, so what else has changed? The menus are better. I've gone in and I've changed them to how I like my menus to be set up, but they are just cleaner, nicer to interact with. And this is the first camera I'm actually finding I really like the implementation of touchscreen. So changing between photo and video, I do via the touchscreen, and it's actually really, really nice. And I do find that when I'm actually pulling the camera up to my eye, it's super quick and responsive, and my nose isn't pressing any of the stuff on the touchscreen. So whatever trickery they've done to make the touchscreen on this camera good and usable, I appreciate it because I'm actually using it. And again, as I said, this is a weather sealed camera, and it's not just weather sealed, it is IP52 rated. It's quite rare to actually get a weather sealed rating. Now that gives me a hell of a lot of confidence, and there's not many brands that actually give you a rating on it. So that's super nice to see. I don't think the autofocus has improved that much. However, once I did the firmware update, I did find that it had unlocked eye tracking detect. So if you haven't done any firmware updates on your Leica Q2, it might be worth it because there's probably a few more features that I've not paid attention to that have been unlocked via the firmwares. I've not had a chance to take too many pictures with it yet, so again, this is a first impressions on general handling, feel, and just interaction in between this and my original Leica Q116. Talking about the unboxing experience, it's typical Leica fashion. You open up your outer box, it falls away, and then it reveals a nice little drawer style unit inside, held together with magnets. In the bottom shelf, you've got everything that you need to get the camera running. So you've got your battery charger, all the cables that come with it, the nice included limited edition strap. And then in the middle drawer, you've got all of your certificates, everything like that. And then in your top presentation drawer, you have the nice gold leaf limited edition name on it, as well as the velvet lining to actually hold the camera. I think it's a very nice unboxing. It is the only camera that I've unboxed that kind of reminds me when I first unboxed my original Fujifilm X Pro 1, where you feel like you're actually getting a premium experience there. Frankly, it doesn't matter. Like, it just doesn't matter. If it wasn't for the fact that this is a limited edition camera, I would not give a crap about the box. My original Leica Q doesn't have a box at all. And the only reason I'll keep the one on this Leica Q is because it's limited edition. I don't imagine I'll be in a rush to sell this at any point. And frankly, this is a very clean unit. I got really lucky here. There's a couple of scratches on the strap lugs, and other than that, you would not know that this is a used camera. But again, this is my first impressions. I'm expecting to get a lot of hate because obviously it's a Leica, and not just it being a Leica, but this is a gold Leica, so that'll piss a few folks off because obviously if you've got a Leica, all you've got is excessive amounts of money, and yeah, if that's what you want to think, absolutely fine. I grew up with nothing, and this is a hell of a nice thing for me to have. So if you've got some hate, throw it down in the comments. You'll support the algorithm, and I'll see you on the other side. Peace.